So normally they get to see the back of the head.
Right.
They get a profile.
We live. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call the meeting to order for the Upson County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, October the 11th. If you would at this time, please rise for our invocation, followed by our pledge. Pastor Corley, thank you for gracing us tonight.
Mr. Chairman, Heavenly Father, once again, we're so thankful that we have such an opportunity to come to be with this group, Lord, and ask for your leadership and your guidance. Knowing, God, the challenging times that we have or live in, have lived in, and will face tomorrow. But God, as we face the challenges, we realize, Lord, that you will lift us above the challenges and give us the courage, the strength, and leadership to work through, Lord, to help make our community a better place to live. To bring forth a touch, Lord, in each of our hearts, Lord, that we'll be proud of the place that we live because we come together, we work together, we play together, Heavenly Father, and because of you, we can grow together. And we just ask, God, your blessings upon this meeting tonight. The decisions that are made, Lord, will always benefit our community and the people of our community. We thank you for this time, and we just ask this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. You join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir, that was spot on. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, for the record, we've got County Manager, Mr. Tinsley, virtually here. You hear us, Jason? Thumbs up. All right. All right. Next on the agenda is a public hearing. We have a special exception, SPX 2022 TAC 09. The applicant, property owner Jonathan Housley of Thomaston, Georgia, has requested the Upson County permit an additional mini warehouse building to be added to his 2 units at 1200 South Center Street, Highway 19, and Bluegrass Street. The mini warehouse storage facility is listed under special exception section of C2 zoning. The property is 0.513 acres more or less and is defined as tax parcel T35, tax 002. All right. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, just aye. Public hearing is open. Mr. Housley is here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So you signed up. Do you have any comments you want to make, or do you just want to make yourself available for questions?
If you don't mind, I'll
Yes,
just
you got 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, easy.
All right.
So I just kind of redrew this site plan a little bit. I don't know if you, but it's basically all I'm doing is want to get approval, and then I'll get an official plan drawn, an approval to build a building. Then I'll get an official plan drawn in order to, and of course that will meet the setbacks by necessity with the through the approval process. So need one more. So and anyway, I 2 years ago I bought this property and had to get it rezoned and get a special use permit as well in order to reopen the units. Since then, basically, they've been full the whole time, and it's performed really well. It's in my IRA, so I can't take the money out, and so that money's just accumulated to where I have the money to add another building. It's 38 units now. I'm thinking it's going to be 12 to 14 units based on the setbacks that are required for the property. I'm not exactly sure of that it will be in an L shape. It may just be one building that goes straight back, but I drew the L shape just in case. I get plenty of demand for them. It really doesn't add any traffic. You know, it's a busy day when one car goes by there, and usually there's one move out a month, and one person is always there to go back in. So I guess if you have any questions, they actually make they still make the buildings in the same color, so I'm planning on it's gonna be exactly the same structure type, exactly, not really gonna, I may add a few lights, but the lights I've been using are through the EMC, so they're not wired to anything that I own. But I guess if there are any questions, I'd love to
We
answer.
may have some, so after we get the staff report, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, no one else on the list, so is there a motion to close the public hearing? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right, public hearing's closed. All right, Mr. Curry.
Yes, sir. It's a very simple, straightforward project, as you've heard. Mr. Housley, also in the name of Equity Trust Company, are the owners and applicants. He already has 2 buildings there, as you see in that older site plan. He wants to add another one on this half-acre site. The address is 1200 South Center Street. There were a number of conditions that were approved. You'll see in the staff report in here that you did review the rezoning and special exception for this site back in 2020. Both the special exception and rezoning were approved. There were conditions, the 4 conditions that you see here. You'll see in the recommendations from the Planning Commission that they actually carry the number 2, 3, and 4 as ongoing conditions for this addition. This is on the west side of US 19 at the intersection of Adams, Bluegrass Street. You did rezone it C2C, that second C meaning that there were conditions required, and it does not lie in a floodplain. The majority of the area is zone C2. To the west, there is single-family development. As you know, we have special exception requirements, standards by which the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission must review these type of proposals. The staff analysis, the advantage you have here is this is an existing building, so we already know whether or not there were any negative impacts, anything that affected the neighbors. In this case, I am unaware of any code complaints we've ever had about the facility, any traffic issues or anything like that. So with that knowledge, we basically assume that this will continue in the same way and that this minor addition will not change the impacts of this particular development. Building permit will be required in terms of other requirements in addition to the impact questions. Mr. Housley has been paying his occupation tax since going into business. What we would request, though, is that the address has not been posted, and we need that put up there. Staff recommends approval. The Planning Commission at their September 12th meeting by a vote of 4-0 also recommended approval. Again, they wanted to carry forward the 3 conditions, not the 4. That you see here: maintenance of the grassed area, the new buildings, in this case, is going back through the special exception process, and if any vehicles are stored there, they have to be operable, licensed, and tagged. It's the aerial of the area. You see Bluegrass Street and 19. That's Lincoln Park to the west. This is the diagram, the site plan that Mr. Housley just handed you. This is 19 looking into the open area where the new building would be. Existing buildings. This is looking from the Bluegrass side of the parcel, where the entrance is. This is looking out from the parcel towards Bluegrass. And this is the neighbor to the west, immediately adjacent to the property. This is across 19. And this is the next door neighbor. It's a body shop actually in the city. And that concludes the staff report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So those pictures, I saw the dates on those pictures. The pictures you took were in August?
September? August, right.
Okay. Go back to the facility. I mean, that's pretty good one right there. Stop
Okay.
right there, go back. So, I mean, I know the grass has been growing a lot this year until currently, but the grass is pretty high there. And one of the conditions was to maintain the grassy area, so that was one of the things I noted, so. And then the other thing I noted was the condition of the chain link fence around the property. You want to comment on that?
Actually, yeah, I'll comment on both if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I've honestly just been having trouble with the guy who cuts my grass. He's been doing it for years at home and at other properties. And it seems like this year he just keeps not showing up. And I've actually been doing it myself, coming back and I just cut it yesterday actually because he wasn't showing up again. So that's why that's that high, and I realize that is too high. The chain link fence just got hit, and I'm actually trying to figure out how to, it got hit by somebody pulling into there, and I think what I'm just gonna have to do is just completely dig it up, because we were gonna try to just pull it back out, and that didn't work when we tried it. And so it's really just a matter of we're paying attention to it. It's just something that just happened a few months ago. So it's not something I'm ignoring. It's just.
I know, and then the only other thing, the comment I have about the condition as it is weeds growing up through the fence and stuff like that as you look around the property on the backside. I was down there about an hour ago. So,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So I just wanted to comment on that. If we're going to talk about maintaining the condition of the property, that was on my only notes on y'all to hear. So.
And I noticed on here, and I understand what you're saying, you want to make sure it's going to be approved before you get a plan, but it appears to me that there's going to have to be some site work done here, because if I'm seeing correctly from the picture, that looks like a good, 2.5, 3 foot drop on that back side right there, so that's going to be, some dirt's got to be moved.
That's so on the back side of that, when we got it, actually, that hill went right into the side of the building. So we already dug that out at one point, and there's actually more site plan to do than that. We actually need to, the drives that go around, and I want to lower the middle of those so the water flows away from the buildings even better than it does now. And yeah, there's going to be a fair amount of, not just leveling, but yeah, of site plan work with the drives and with, and yeah, there will be some digging out in the back there. I had talked with, you probably know Clee Thompson, I talked to him about doing it, and so we're kind of, just kind of waiting on the approval for that. But that's, I've been a developer for about 30 years, so I'm pretty familiar with that, with making sure that it all runs off well, and it honestly doesn't to my satisfaction now, but we're going to change that a little bit so that it does better. The entrance will be roughly the same. It'll just obviously be rerouted to go around the building.
And the driveways and everything will remain gravel or crush and run?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Since he did submit this with the L shape, you see any problems with it?
No, and actually, there was discussion at the Planning Commission about sort of flexibility with that design, whether it would be in one angle or the other. So it was understood that there wasn't an actual site plan that was definitive, that it might change a little bit. And the Planning Commission didn't seem concerned.
Does this meet our setbacks?
Well, we'll have to see when the site plan's submitted. It'll have to.
So if we approve this tonight, it has to be conditional that the,
Well, they always have to meet the conditions of the zoning, the setbacks, et cetera. That's just an automatic.
That'll be picked up in the permitting process.
Yes, sir.
okay.
And how far away from the city limits is it?
Less than 300 feet. It's across bluegrass.
So it's already been before the joint?
Right. They recommended approval. There wasn't much discussion.
The only other thing that I see is the approval of parking vehicles there. And we haven't been letting anybody else park vehicles on these mini warehouse sites because it
Can I address that?
just overwhelming.
I don't want any vehicles parked there, so I'd be just fine with saying that you can't park any vehicles there.
That's good.
Well, I mean, I talked with U-Haul about setting up an operation there, but that's gonna be, I mean, if you don't want me to, that's fine, but obviously those will be registered and that kind of thing, but I won't be renting any space to an entity that would, or to a person that would park a vehicle or a truck or anything like that there.
So in the planning commission, their number 2 was any new buildings must be reviewed through a special exception process. And also, how you go add another building on there once you do this one. So,
I'm not sure it's gonna make setbacks with what you got, but.
okay. Is there a motion, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to approve it with no vehicles, no trailers, no campers, no vehicles. And that it fits the lot with whatever he decides to build. And get rid of, what was that other one? Let me run back.
It was the stored vehicles must be operable, licensed, and
Right,
tagged. You're just gonna
yeah.
replace it with no vehicles, trailers, or campers,
Right,
and meet setback requirements,
yeah, right.
which is part of the permitting process anyway, so we report it.
And then highlight maybe the maintenance of the grassed area and the fences.
So you want to add maintenance of the grassed area and to include the fences,
Right.
fencing.
Right.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion made and seconded for approval with the following conditions. 1, maintenance of the grassed area and fencing. Any new buildings must be reviewed through special exception process, and no vehicles, trailers, or campers. Did I get that correct? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
No.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. You're gonna have a very nice neighbor across the street from you in the very near future, so,
Yeah.
you know. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the vehicles include the U-Haul though?
Well, you wouldn't be storing them there, right? You just
Right.
bring them in there to offload on. This is just
I just want to
storing.
make sure to clarify that. I don't want to go do it and then,
No, I think he said he
No.
wanted to partner with U-Haul to keep stuff there.
You want to keep U-Haul vehicles there?
For renting.
I mean, they'll just be there for rent. But if not,
That's
I mean,
that's not what we just approved.
okay, well, that's okay. I don't have to have it. I'd rather have the building than U-Haul.
You can come back and ask us again for that if you'd like.
Okay. I'm all right with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
James had a question.
I just got a question for staff, but, you know, I struggle a little bit of way how, not just this particular, instance, but we put all these different restrictions on people, and we gotta somehow, we gotta tighten up our ordinance for it. Everybody has to do the same thing. Because we require one guy that wants to build something to come in, and he's got thousands of dollars invested in his plans, in his site work, his retention pond, his building, his engineered drawings, and then somebody else comes in and they got something drawn on a notebook pad, and it's just inconsistent.
Is that
That makes me
is it
feel
because of our
really
work?
uncomfortable.
Is it because of our ordinance
Yeah,
issue?
is it something because of our ordinance?
No one has submitted engineered drawings before your meetings. No one. Any engineered drawings you've seen have been done after approval of the special exception. As a matter of fact, they balked at having anything because of the investment they would have to make before they know that.
What about the one on Highway 19 North that
Right.
we just did?
Those drawings came after approval.
No,
No,
we
we
had
have
those
them in
drawings
the-
in here at this
In
meeting.
here at the approval, we had those drawings.
You may not have them at the planning commission meeting.
I mean, that's
at that
important at
one.
the planning commission.
Okay, so our ordinance does not require that we have a stamped set of drawings prior to approval.
Right, this is the conceptual approval, and the ordinances take over any setbacks based on zone. As you know, you don't have anything special for your mini warehouse operations, so they just have to meet the traditional setback requirements, et cetera, parking, and then if you set special conditions, and that's where we are. Without an ordinance for these, you're potentially going to have different conditions set for different projects.
Yeah, but, you know, as these projects get more, we've had some pretty complex ones come, and you know, the one we just did out in Commissioner Jones's area, that was a pretty complex one, and I know they've got to go, but it's something, it's something
We
we got
gotta
to
quit
figure out.
making it up as it comes up. There needs to be a standardized process that we go through, and to make sure we're putting the same consistency on every side, instead of just picking and choosing.
Would you like the planning commission to start working on an ordinance for
Yeah,
mini warehouses?
Well, I
let's
think-
workshop it.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
But I don't think it's just many warehouses.
No,
I think we're
it's-
seeing an inconsistency period. Some people come and have something, some people don't come. You know, it's hard for us to approve something when we don't know what we're approving.
The storage facility that was proposed for Night Trail, there were drawings for that one. Yeah, that was denied. So, I would recommend that you, perhaps Jason, bring something, and we workshop it or something, because again, it's a consistency thing. It's not fair to have an individual or entity, you know, go through the angst and the financial burden of getting all this site work, the site plan, civil design and all that, and then we get others that come in here with notepads. And this, sir, it's nothing against you, it's just,
No.
this is an internal process thing we're working out here, so we just need to, if it's a priority, we need to make it a priority, so.
Well, we got this other thing, and this is gonna be big on my list, the new comp plan. We gotta come up with design standards. too.
Well, we're getting ready to go right into that, and that makes a good transition if we can. Are y'all ready to move on into that?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So next on the agenda, we have the comp plan update. And we have, what we're gonna do, we're gonna do the presentation and then open the public hearing for comments. So everybody has any comments, has the benefit of hearing what we're all about to see. So, that good with y'all? All right. Staff?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, you may recall that a year and a half, 2 years ago, we hired an as-needed consultant to do planning work that maybe we didn't have time to develop ourselves, and we certainly were thinking ahead that at some point we may use these folks for our comp plan, and we didn't see any reason to open it up for other consultants to do. We've selected through the normal process an as-needed consultant, so we've asked Mr. Walton with WSP to do that comprehensive plan. A contract's been signed, and this is the kickoff. This is the official beginning of that meeting. You'll have your public hearing after his presentation, which is required by DCA rules. Without further ado, Mr.
Okay.
Walton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome.
Very glad to be needed, and here to provide support, and even from the public as well, as this is a public hearing. So the purpose of this meeting,
No, this is just a
the
presentation.
presentation prior to public hearing, sorry, thank you for the clarification. So the purpose this evening is to provide a formal kickoff for the process of updating the comprehensive plan. These slides will give a very high-level overview of what this is all about. We'll invite comments, and then this will start us on a process over the next 6 to 8 months, roughly, to complete the comprehensive plan update. And it's a process where we will discuss a lot of issues and factors, including what you just brought up, and others, and result in an updated comprehensive plan. So Doug, next slide. And again, I'm Lee Walton with WSP. I am a planning consultant on call to support the county in whatever way is needed. The comprehensive plan, comprehensive plans for Georgia communities are something that I've worked on for over 20 years, so very familiar territory for me. And I always like to start off by framing what the comprehensive plan is, what its function and purpose is, because it's not a document that is daily referenced by the citizens of any county anywhere in Georgia. It's something that serves a specific purpose and comes from a specific place. So like it says here, it is a policy document. That's a very important word to start off, policy document, as opposed to an ordinance or other type of legal document. It serves a legal purpose, but it is not an ordinance, it's not a law, it is a policy document very intentionally. So as a policy document, it guides decisions about future development. It establishes and documents a community vision. It has a 20-year outlook, but we, as you're aware, we're updating it every 5 years so that we keep it current with a 20-year outlook. It coordinates local planning efforts, and in this case, even more so, as it's a joint plan with Thomaston and Fullerville. And it fulfills state requirement to help you maintain your qualified local government status, completing this update. Next. And as I mentioned earlier, it is not a regulation, an ordinance, or a replacement of zoning in any way. It stands parallel to your zoning ordinance and supports it by providing a policy framework. And we can talk more about that if you'd like. But when you adopt the comprehensive plan update, ultimately, it does not create new regulations, does not change existing zoning, does not alter the specific development rights applied to any particular piece of property. It does, and it certainly can, lead to those types of ordinance changes, either in the very short term or longer term, and sometimes even concurrent. But the comprehensive plan in itself does not regulate, if you will. Next slide. So what's involved in it? The main components of the plan identified there. A listing or definition or description of community needs and opportunities. And we'll have, we've got a survey that I'll talk about more. We'll have focus groups. We'll have other discussions and ways of getting input that will inform our description of needs and opportunities, as well as goals and strategies. And then those flow into a future development guide, which is your future land use map or character areas map. There's different ways that can be called, but in a broad sense, it's a future development guide. And then also related is a 5-year action plan, previously called a short-term work program, community work program, etc. It takes a 5-year outlook. And that's what you look at every year when you start your budgeting process. What did we say when we did comprehensive planning, and how does that feed into the budget for this year? And public input is important to the process, helping identify needs and opportunities, helping prioritize them, establishing community vision. In this case, we've got previously written community vision, goals, objectives. We want to review all of those and make sure they're still accurate. Things have changed a bit since 2018. We went through a few years here that are that cause us to look at the world a little differently, maybe, than we did in 2018. So we want to calibrate and then look forward to the future and identify the desired development patterns going forward, and clearly lead towards those with plan policy. Next. So a 5-year update is required by the state of Georgia. As I mentioned, there was a similar process in 2018. I expect you remember that. Maybe voted to adopt a plan at that time. That was a joint plan. This update is similar to that one, to be approved and adopted by June 30th, 2023. And a lot of work has been done in the years since 2018 from a planning standpoint. A lot of things overall have been done. But those plans listed there, or processes specifically, all have relevance to the comprehensive plan and will inform how we write this update. Especially the heart and soul study, which was a really broad-based, community outreach effort with input. And so we're learning from that, as well as the other studies. Thomaston completed a city master plan focused on the downtown area with a market study very recently, and so we're factoring that in, as well as their recent zoning updates and so forth. So a lot that we work into this that's been done since the last update. We kind of structure a process according to these questions. Where are we? What's our status quo? We've got 2020 census data that informs that wasn't available previously. So we've got a pretty good and accurate picture of how the population has grown and how it's changing. Then where are we going? We look at both trends and also at priorities that are expressed in those plans that we were just talking about that have been done recently, and in zoning ordinances and other things. So that gives us a picture, as well as the discussions about where we're going, what are the trends, and then where do we want to go? What are our goals and objectives, both broad and specific? What do we want to accomplish over the next 20 years? And then the how we get there is where we, from a planning standpoint, consultant and staff, make recommendations on technically the types of language and types of policies and recommendations that are needed to support the direction that the public and the leaders communicate to us as we go through the process. And next up. So starting off, we're generally doing what we call a community assessment. As I mentioned, reviewing all the planning exercises that have been completed in recent years, looking at patterns of development, data, demographics, and working towards highlighting areas that require special attention, either physical geographic areas or subject areas that we need to pay special attention to with our plan policies. And then we move from there to the next slide, with public participation helping us to identify where we want to go. And we're actually starting that, as it says kickoff meeting, that's starting now. So the community survey
Is out now.
is out now, correct, yes. It says coming soon. Well, soon is very soon in this case, because if you go to your county website, the first thing that pops up is an invitation to take the community survey. And it's just as simple as click on that link and there's question 1, fill in the blank or choose A, B, C, D.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is that the only survey that we're going to do?
Not necessarily. That survey is designed and intended to get upfront information.
Right.
If we work through the process and decide that we need survey type input to help make some decisions, then we can certainly do more.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. It's a good question. While the survey is running, we will be organizing and scheduling to hold some focus group type discussions. We've decided this time around, instead of a steering committee format that would meet regularly with the same group of folks, to have different targeted focus group discussions. And we've used that in other communities. It's worked well. Requires a little less time commitment from committee members as opposed to monthly meetings. And we get the same or better input typically, we find. So we'll be holding focus groups in the fall, and then working towards a draft plan that we would present in an open house format and other ways for review and comment in the spring. And that's a circumstance where we, in concert with draft plan presentation, we could absolutely put out another survey and ask people to review the draft plan documents available, and then provide input by a survey for that. Next. And then, as I mentioned, the detailed plan document will be drafted to include the goals and strategies, future development guide, and 5-year implementation program, maps and text, and supporting graphics. Next. I will say, with regards to the plan, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Back in the 90s, it almost looked like the goal was to add as many pages as you can to a plan, as if planners were getting paid by the page. Documents were very long, unwieldy, difficult to use. Now we really strive to make the documents brief, straight to the point. All of the detailed sort of data analysis, most of that is available to the general public via the internet now. We put together a data appendix that sits apart as a separate document, so that we don't crowd the meat of the document with extraneous information or supportive information. So what you will get in the end will be a concise, targeted document with the most meaningful information. So for purposes of participation, definitely step number one and opportunity number one right now is to take the community survey. It's online, it's ready to go. Printed copies can be made available. If anybody prefers to fill it out by hand, return those to us and we'll enter them in. But it is up and running. It's on, I have my note card here, as far as Jessica's done a great job getting this started. So it is at www.upsoncountyga.org. It pops up as soon as you go to the homepage of the county's website. You really can't miss it. You actually have to click to move that pop-up box away if you want to do anything else on the website at this point. So that's great. Click to access the survey and you're taking it. It's also on the various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and others that Upson County has. And so far it's been promoted to Fun 101 Radio and also the Upson Beacon. And there'll be additional promotion as we go through the process. So please complete the survey. We will continue using the county's website and drawing attention to the county's website through the process as a home base for information related to the comprehensive plan. We're starting that with the survey and that'll continue. So check that. And then looking forward, if anyone is interested in being a part of a focus group or recommending someone to be a part of the focus group, please communicate with us on that. Doug's office would be happy to hear expressions of interest there. And we will schedule those, and there will be multiple. And then there'll be upcoming notices and just general questions or opinions, starting with tonight. We'd love for anyone who wants to comment. You do not by any means have to be a comprehensive plan expert. You can just say, my opinion about the community, a need is this, or an opportunity we have is this, or maybe multiple. Feel free to share anything, any questions tonight that you would like, or contact us afterwards. I think that wraps us up, doesn't it? Yeah. So I believe the next step is to formally open the public hearing. If anyone has a question, I'm more than happy to try to answer during the public hearing. That's appropriate. The purpose here is to make ourselves available to the public and make sure everything's clear as we get started. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Mr.
Sure we'll have more for you here momentarily. So, Jason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add a little bit to what Lee was saying and just clarify in a way. I mean, the role that myself and Doug and Lee will be serving, it will be to create a plan for your vision. So when we talk about surveys, when we talk about outreach, whether that's a committee or a group of meetings or whatever that is, we will also be taking that direction from you. So if what we're providing you is with a framework to get started, but as we go, we really want to know your preferences and we want to integrate those preferences into the process because we want to deliver you your comp plan. So I just wanted to be very clear. What we're trying to do is just create a framework based on our experiences. Almost 20 years for me, almost 20 years for Lee, and sorry, Doug, more than that for you. But in the end, it's not our plan, it's your plan, and we're your staff and your consultants. So we want to make sure that it's exactly what you want, and that we're, so you know that we're all receptive to any and every change or recommendation or whatever it may be.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, with that, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, just it's unanimous. So the public hearing is now open. So I understand that part of the goal is this, that one of the requirements is we try to get as many signatures as we can for people who had the opportunity to listen to the presentation and all have the opportunity to voice their comments, concerns, and that. So with that, when I call your name, if you have comments, just say you have comments and the floor will be yours. If you don't, then I understand. So Doug, I guess you're signing this as you attended.
Exactly.
Mr. Piper, you have anything for us you'd like to say about this comp plan and this process? No? Okay. It's one of the few times I've ever seen Doug Piper speechless. You can quote me on that. You're always looking for one.
He will.
He will. All right. Miss Jane Burdette, do you have anything you'd like to?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know I do.
I was going to say that, but I'm being kind. No.
I appreciate that. My name is Jane Burdette. I live in historic Silvertown, and this is my first foray into the world of the comprehensive plan. I am chair of the Historic Preservation Commission in Thomaston, but I'm speaking as a citizen, so I probably will be all over the place and a little bit nervous in front of you gentlemen. Good-looking men always make me nervous, so bear
Oh, Lord,
with me.
she wants something.
You know I do. So a few of the things, the first thing that comes to mind is how do we get people involved? Not everybody listens to Fund 101. Not everybody reads the Beacon. It's always a problem to get the people to come in. I made a lot of calls tonight for people that I know want to have some input, but they're like, you speak for me. You tell them, you know, what I'd like to see. But you know, how do we do that? Short of taking out a billboard in town, you know, it's just really hard to get the people involved. I don't know why they're intimidated. I mean, you know, we're all in this together. We're all trying to make it better. But I'll keep putting the word out. But I do think y'all might want to think about putting up a billboard, honestly.
That's what
Kind of like our big zoning signs that we have now. We never had any input before, but now that we have the signs that go up when a piece of property is going to be rezoned or zoned, you know, for something else, a variance, those signs go up, and now we get people in because they see it as they drive by. So that's been a big help to the city. Of course, you know, my big thing is historic preservation. We have a National Register district that's not recognized, and we want to preserve that, and we want which is Silvertown, both sides of the highway. We want to bring that back up. We want that to be where people want to live. I'm sure that if you've driven through Silvertown, you've seen on one side of the highway it's in good shape and the houses are being fixed up. On the other side, there's a lot of work to do. Well, how do we do that? You know, how do we reclaim that property? You know, to make it more amenable to homeowners. You know, rather than the landlords, and some of them, as you know, are slumlords. So that's historic preservation's always stayed with me way up here, and that was also mentioned in Heart and Soul. Silvertown was mentioned many times because that's a treasure, that's a gem for Upson County and the city of Thomaston. And so we want to make it be a great place to live and to maintain it. Another thing that that has been mentioned to me, and as you've probably seen me on social media with Peggy Farrell and Lisa Price. Those are volunteers that do an incredible job. If we didn't have them, there's no telling what that shelter would look like. And our shelter really is in terrible need of replacement. We need a new shelter. We need people like them working to place those animals elsewhere, because, you know, it's a reflection of who we are, it's the way we treat our animals. So I hope that in the comprehensive plan somewhere that we can consider a new shelter. Buffering up and down 19, the roads in and out, the corridors. So what I've been seeing is that these storage units have been approved, but, you know, they're metal buildings. And I thought, there's so many tentacles when it comes to city, county, state, comprehensive, this, that, and the other. There's so many things that come into play. But I thought there was a corridor, and there's supposed to be buffers with green space and landscaping to hide those buildings. And I'm not seeing that, especially up on 19, I think, where some new storage buildings were just built on 19 North. I thought that was supposed to be screened from the highway, and I hope that that will be considered to keep our green spaces. I think in Griffin now the storage units have to be brick or brick faced or have a certain type of fencing. So I think that might be something that we could adopt to make our town look better coming in and out, because it looks a little shabby right now. The sewer, why can't we take the sewer all the way to the county line? As you know, there's, and I'm sure if I'm out of order, y'all just tell me to shut up. But as you know, the development is coming, and we do need larger tracts that, for instance, the apartment complex that somebody came in and wanted to put that in Thomaston, and the neighbors said, no, we don't want it. Well, there are a lot of places, especially right there at Atwater, and that's going to be a big intersection at some point. That's where 5 Star is. If they had sewer, they could have negotiated for that apartment complex, and that would have been a great place for it to go as well, in my humble opinion. Donation bins. If you all don't know about these donation bins, now that I tell you about these, you'll see them everywhere. Chief Richardson and I got them kicked out of Thomaston. It's a national scam. There's all kinds of information on it. Even if they say, if you have a Goodwill bin in town, that's a stolen bin. If you have AmVets, one day an AmVets box showed up. They show up overnight, and they say they're recycled. Well, these are, they take everything and package it, and they send it overseas. And I even went so far as to pull up their import-export records because of my background. I knew how to do that, and found out kind of what was happening to it. But it's a criminal enterprise, and it feeds drugs and trafficking. So if you have these bins, I highly suggest that we get those out of town too, and that, you know, make our town safer for one thing. I don't know exactly who it is in town yet. I haven't found out who the local connection is, but I'm working on that. And but getting those kicked out. But now you'll see them and you'll think about it. But they're not legitimate in any way. But that's just some comments, and I appreciate all you all do for us. And I would like to have some input in the comprehensive plan and learn more about it and how I can be more helpful to my town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burdett. Mr. Housley, you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Varner, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Get up there. Hi. My question is the convenience stores that has those game machines in the back of the rooms. Are there any rights or wrong to them being back there? How money is collected? Is any taxes paid when they take the money out? And I think a couple of weeks ago, some ladies got to fighting because of the machines in the back. I was in a store And I wasn't in there when they got the fight, but I was in there when two ladies got into a heavy argument about the machines in the back. And one of the sheriff guys from the sheriff department, I had happened to see him, and I asked him, was it legal for, it's illegal gambling, that's just what it is, and you know, you can't, I mean, that's what it is. Nobody pays $100 to get a hot dog and a tank of gas. That's just not the way it works. So yeah, I just want to know, is that legal? I think it's, I don't think that they should be there.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't think that they need to be controlled. They need to be taken out.
Okay.
Because it's becoming a fight zone.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Ms. Ivy? Okay, thank you. Mr. Biggs, I know you came a little late. Is there anything you'd like to say? I know you're not signed up. We would like you to sign this before you leave, so your presence noted. All right. Thank y'all. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Can I say something before we close it? Okay. Well, this is my part of my public speaking here. There's a lot of work to do. And a lot of this, according to this, what is a comprehensive plan? It says it right there in plain English. This is not a regulation, not an ordinance, and not zoning. And so we've been waiting on this to change a lot of things because I was told we had to wait for the comprehensive plan, but we don't. So that's the end of my comment.
I'm sure we'll have more in a minute. Is there
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing? Okay. Now the public hearing's closed. I've done the survey. It took me all of about 15 minutes. I probably could have spent another hour doing it. That's why my question was, are there more surveys and then more opportunity to put more input into it. I think there was. It's a very high level, and I'm sure it was intended to be that way, just to throw it out there and see, okay, what rabbit holes we need to go down. We've got some. So I would encourage everyone to do it. Please share the word, because like it was pointed out, not everybody, Dave, this is a fun one-on-one. I do every day almost, and not everybody reads the paper. But not everybody, unfortunately, pays attention to our website or our social media. So I would ask that if you're here, please go share this with your friends. And if you're watching, please take the time to do it. And then, like you just said, I mean, this drives everything. So, I mean, there's a lot of work to do in this comprehensive plan. But once that's done, there's a lot more work to do. And just for, we've talked about this for, God, how many years, James? Years about comprehensive plan and when we get this done, and things that, as your elected officials, I'm talking to y'all out there, we have in our mind what we think you want. We talk to people every day, but, we don't talk to everybody. And this is a chance for everybody to have their voice into this thing. So if everybody doesn't contribute, then everybody is going to get what we adopt. So, and it's everything from land use and zoning to buffering, overlay districts, animal control. I mean, this. I mean, and again, it drives our budget if we do this correctly. And we, Mr. Walton, we don't intend for this just to be a compliance document. We intend to use this. Hopefully the people that come after us at some point down the road will feel the same way. I know you've seen it many times where it's just a compliance document sits on the shelf and it doesn't drive you. I mean, so we're sitting around and we're talking about one of the hot button things that we talked about is minimum lot size in AR zoning. we see what's happening. As it was noted, growth is coming. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people that have talked to me that there's some growth that, we don't want. I heard the governor say that this morning, you got to decide, what you want. And people, this is when you decide. And then when you've got the comp plan, then that's how you hold your elected officials accountable when it comes to budgeting and decisions that are made. You can stand up and say, hold the phone now, I participated in this comp plan creation, and what you're doing is contrary to what we said we wanted to do. So now's your time to be heard. If you don't say anything, again, you're going to get what we think you want, and it may not necessarily be what you want. And not everybody's going to agree on everything, because there may be people that want to see Highway 19 developed from here to the Pike County line. But I can tell you that a lot of people don't want to see that. And where do we want that development to go? Water, wastewater, that's a biggie. Just subdivision developments, residential growth. I mean, we're seeing in Pike County and everywhere around us, so we got an idea, but and we're going to do one way or the other. This is your opportunity to participate, so I'll shut up. Did I say it all?
I think you kind of stole all of my thunder. So.
Well,
but I would like to say, hey, this is important. This gives you an opportunity to speak what's on your mind by filling out this survey. You don't have to get up in front of a group of people. You don't have to identify yourself. I mean, you just simply go online, you fill out the form. So please, I ask you, tell your neighbors, your friends, your family, your co-workers, tell them about this. Let's get people to feel it. Take 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes of your time worth what your community turns into. Because we're all going to say, man, well, I wish they had it done that way. It's difficult. It's difficult for an elected official to know what their citizens want. We put it in the paper. It's on the radio. We got a website. We had a social media person. We're currently looking for another one. But it's just difficult to get that information because I don't know about you guys, but I have to work every day, so I don't have time to go out into the community. I get out as much as I can, but it's difficult to get feedback from people. So please tell people this is your time, and you don't have to. You can put anything on there you want to. I won't say I may not agree with it, but ultimately I want feedback. Please.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have a question and a statement. I know that Jessica's working on other avenues to get the survey promoted, so that is to come. But one of the questions that I had is, do you have an end date on the survey? Because I know people are going to ask that. Or are you just going to have it open-ended?
We have talked about, I think, allowing the survey to continue into November. So approximately a month time frame. We have complete control and flexibility over the survey. We designed it, we posted it, so we can, maintain it for as long as we want. But we would like to work with the results of the survey within focus groups and so forth. So, we're saying approximately a month.
Okay. And like you said it. Things change rapidly. I mean, we did this heart and soul thing that a lot of people put a lot of time in. I mean, and that's probably one of the most successful things we'll ever see as far as outreach and getting citizens engaged and getting their feedback. And we've got that, and we're going to use that in large part for this.
Right.
But I guarantee you it's changed. It's changed in just a time frame.
Right.
We got the dog park. We're working on farmers. The city, our partners in the city are working on farmers markets. So, what's the next thing that we need to be focusing on? So, heart and soul was a great way to do it. We learned a lot. We know how to, Doug, we learned how to do it. And we just need, Jason, we need whoever's helping us in that endeavor on staff to get this stuff out there, be it town hall meetings, be it events, be it standing outside the courthouse square, walking around, talking to people and handing them these things, that's the only way we're gonna get the word out. I mean, we're a community of almost 30,000. I would hate for 20 people to make this be the creation of this document for 30,000 people. So we all know that. We've got work to do. And as Jason said, we own this. So we got to do it because, once we get this done, then we establish the priorities and staff gets busy. So, all right. I think we.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes,
make
sir.
just one comment related to what Commissioner Jones said? Additionally, aside from our own community, we're at the state legislature every year, sort of fighting back preemptions on our ability to potentially do some of these things in the future. So when surveys from ACCG go out, and I'll use design standards as one. Do you mention design standards in your comp plan? No. Are design standards built into your code of ordinances? No. So, to me, that comp plan is more than just how we do business locally. We can go to our state partners, folks that would potentially try to restrict how we would restrict people or how we would encourage development. And we can show them, we can show our delegation, hey, well, we went to our people and this is what they want, and you're going to preempt us from doing that. So it serves that additional purpose with our partners at the state level. And it's my intention to keep them as big of a part of the overall conversation and get them involved to the extent that they're able to in our local process, so they can see us putting this together, and they'll have a better idea when they're up there representing us in Atlanta of, what is the right thing to do when it comes to preempting design standards or preempting certain types of building materials, because some of these things may change in our ordinance, and some of the things we talk about on a regular basis, there's always bills up there that we're fighting that would prevent us from actually doing that. So us being able to get our delegation involved in the process to the extent they can, and more importantly, put a document in their hands that our entire community was responsible for putting together, I think is just another way of showing how important this is.
All right, I have a question for staff then. So, this is not just the Upson County comp plan. This is the cities are a part of that. How are you going before the city council and or the city councils and making the same presentation? What's their level of participation in this?
We can and we will. So far, we're communicating with staff, similarly promoting the survey. The survey, if you'll notice, question number 1 asks where you live.
Right.
So that will ultimately help us to analyze the data according to responses from either one of the cities or incorporated county to the extent people respond to that. And then we'll proceed from there. Thomaston, early discussions, has made it very clear that they've done a lot of planning and zoning revision work in the past 2 years. So they consider their new recommendations very fresh and current, and obviously want to get input, continue to get input from Thomaston cities, citizens. But there's been a lot of very recent input that's directly related that we'll be incorporating into the comprehensive.
So you're taking the work that they have done and incorporating this into their portion of this comp plan?
That's right, yeah. So so for Thomaston, so that the comp plan becomes consistent with the master plan and zoning updates that they've recently done. Not only that, but that's a key objective for them.
Jason, are they participating financially with us on this?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we're gonna.
Thunder from.
Pardon?
I was just asking if I stole some thunder here.
So they're we're tentatively agreed to split this at the joint projects rate. So which makes a lot of sense because what Lee said, and for use of a bad term, they're doing a little bit of reverse engineering. Like Lee said, a lot of their work is already done. they're obviously still interested in the input part, but mostly they're going to be working directly with Lee. And I think to the extent that we maybe need to have a joint meeting or joint meetings with them, we will as we get further along. I think that'll become more evident. I'm sure that will happen at some point, but they did kind of make it clear that they're definitely leaning more towards the compliance side than, because I think they have established their vision by some other planning practices that they've engaged their citizens on, over the last couple of years. So that's what they've told me, and I think they've been consistent in telling Doug and Lee the same thing.
All right, thank you. Any other?
I have a question. So as we have stuff that comes up, how do we need to get it to staff and you guys? I mean, is it just one-offs as they come up to us? Or are we going to have I'm sure we're going to have time that we
You
sit
could just
down.
funnel it to me, and then whatever we need to get to our consultant will do that. So I'll be the focal point, just get it to me, and I'll be responsible for communications with you.
Hey, Mr. Biggs, I see you waving your hand, but let me just say this. So the public hearing is closed.
I just asked a question about the survey. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'll be glad
Ask
to
you,
talk to
yeah, if you would.
So is-
Well, hey, go ahead. I want it, this is
So your
freak
survey
down.
is only available online, or can you print it off and do it?
We can make printed copies available, or anyone can print it off and fill it out and return it to the county planning
You
office.
can get a printed copy.
What we will do with any printed copies is we will feed them into the system, but we're glad to help by doing that.
When we finish, if you'd like a printed copy, I'll give you mine.
Thanks, sir.
I think I can give you mine. Yeah. All right.
You got all the answers on it?
Hey, no, I'm not filling it out. I've already filled mine out. Okay. All right. Any last thoughts? This is one of the most important things that we'll do.
What's the next step?
Again, reiterate, it's been said many, many times, but it can't be said enough. Survey, distribution, encouragement, completion, maximizing the number of surveys that we can get. So that's the absolute next thing. We will start planning for and scheduling our focus group meetings. So we will welcome and look to receive any and all suggestions for focus group members. Obviously, we have some in mind that we're certainly interested in. And those we generally try to group focus groups, people with like specialties or experience or understanding, so that we can benefit from the experience of individuals who, for example, work with real estate in the county, so they have that specialized area of understanding. Work with historic and cultural resources in one respect or another, natural resources and so forth. So think about anyone who you would consider an expert able to share valuable information and recommend for a focus group. That'll be helpful. Those are the two key next steps.
I've already got my list in my mind of people that I would recommend.
Okay.
I mean, just one place you can start is the page 4 of the local paper. See some of the comments in there. You can reach out to some of those people and say, part of the problem, part of the solution. You'd be part of the solution. Here's your opportunity. And then I think we all have people that we deal with on a regular basis or have dealt with in the course of our time that have expressed interest and probably would be. So I'm asking my fellow commissioners here, let's come up with a list and feed that Doug and staff to reach out to some of these folks. And I mean, and some of these people may not have the opportunity or have the time to come in and be a part of a focus group, where you open to just taking whatever you get.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
a long email or
Absolutely.
something written on a napkin or.
So in any format, and then also if you notice at the end of the survey, we sort of, I believe, concluded with a fairly open-ended question inviting
Yes.
any type of feedback about anything. So
Okay.
both and.
All right.
What's the end date for the survey?
We haven't nailed a specific date, so I guess if we're at October 11th now, maybe we would say, prior to the week of Thanksgiving would be a cutoff time. That allows a month plus a little bit.
Okay.
we will probably start reviewing and talking about preliminary survey results in early November. So the sooner the better. What we typically find is that you've got kind of waves of survey completion. There's the initial, rush of people who are paying attention and looking for an option. That's the choir I brought with me. That's giving me the background.
That's fine.
That's my choir. They sound great. So there's an initial wave when it's first available, and then at some point, a week or two in, we'll do some sort of reminder push, with Jessica's help on social media and otherwise. And then usually towards the end, we do kind of a final push, and we get a sort of a third wave of responses, typically.
We'll do everything we can to help.
Good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. We've kind of done this meeting a little backwards than some of our other meetings. We're getting a lot of the work done early. The rest of the meeting should go pretty quick. Gentlemen, next on the agenda, public comments. We have no public comments. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. You have on your consent approval of the September 27th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. I have a motion on the consent.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. All right, new business. We really don't have any, except comments. So, Mr. Tinsley.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to thank Lee and Doug for kicking off our comprehensive plan rewrite. I, like all the members of the board, I'm really looking forward to working on it. I appreciate the chairman's comments. Aside from an annual budget, this really is, in my opinion, one of the most important things that we will work on, because if we do it right, it's going to be the basis for everything we do moving forward. So I'm very, very passionate about it. You have a planner in Doug Currier, who's extraordinarily passionate about this process, and I think we've picked a really great consultant who has a lot of great experience, especially in Georgia with communities like ours. I just appreciate everyone's comments. I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, and I really look forward to rolling up my sleeves and getting people involved, because that's, like a few of the commissioners have mentioned, that's going to be the next part of this. So I look forward to being part of that, and then early next year putting a plan together that represents the vision of the board. And that is the only comment I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Jones, what do we owe you?
October the 20th, Thursday, next Thursday. Is everybody still available?
In a few minutes.
What time?
What is that for?
Budget.
Oh, good.
Afternoon?
I'm open. You tell me.
Okay.
It's better.
The earlier the better. 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. After lunch is good.
Okay.
We're talking about.
I'm good. Whatever works
We
for
got
the
it.
schedule.
We're getting down to crunch
James is
time.
too. So,
Yeah, I'm good for Thursday, the 20th.
Okay, so
What time?
after lunch is better, right?
like,
I'll send out an invite. Let me look
what?
at Jason's calendar, and then I'll send out an invite.
I'll just be traveling back Thursday morning.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing on my calendar that can't be moved for that. So.
I understand. Okay.
send
That
me
it,
an
Jessica?
invite, please. Send me an invite, please.
Okay, so we'll maybe one work,
Yeah, that's fine.
one okay with you? So we'll just go with Thursday at 1 o'clock. Jason?
All right. Ms. Ennis, you got anything for us this evening?
Well, thank you,
You're
Chairman.
like you're full of it. Yeah. All right. Mr. Watson?
Well, yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the comp plan. Hopefully, if I'm lucky enough, in about a month, I'll be able to be a part of it.
You will.
But I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a new experience, so I think it'll be eye-opening and definitely, a way to get input from our constituents and be able to share them with everybody else. So definitely looking forward to that. And one way potentially gather some information, October 21st is a week from Friday. There's a fall festival on the square, so that could be a good opportunity to gather some of this information. I don't know what y'all's plans
Already
are,
under
but
discussion.
that would be a good time, especially when drinks are flowing, so. That's all I have.
Let them fill them out and bring them back.
Mr. Ellington?
Just to kind of piggyback off all this, if you live in District 2, and I'm your representative, whether you live in the city or the county, reach out to me if you want to participate in this focus group. Let me know. You can call me, send me an email, and let me get your name down so I can get you in the right direction. That's all I got.
Mr. Jones?
Appreciate everybody that showed up, especially the people that want to be involved. And it's a long time coming because it's been, I really don't know when the last time we just didn't pass it on to the DCA and let them give us our comp plan. So, I don't even know if we've ever done it. We've never hired, that I remember ever hiring a consultant. It's always just been.
The regional commission did it last time.
Yep. So I'm grateful to have some fresh ideas, and we need to make the future of Upson bright and not dingy. And that's it.
Okay. And this is just more board business. I mean, we are rapidly getting towards the end of the year, and we've got a lot to do with joint projects agreement. Commissioner Ellington and I and Jason, others are working to get that hammered out, so we'll have something to present to the whole board pretty soon, I hope. And then obviously the end of the fiscal year, the budget, and then it's a busy time, and we know that, once Thanksgiving rolls around, and I can appreciate you wanting that to be, once you get into Thanksgiving until the end of the year, it's very, very difficult to get anything done. So, buckle up. We got a lot to do. So, all right. I went by Andrews Chapel School this morning. It was nice to see contractors out there working on it. I would tell you to go out there and look at it. It's a unique project. They're using, they're putting, replacing the support beams, and you can see some of the beams that they pulled out. They're rotted, and they're using the old rocks there to shore it up with new beams, and squaring up the door there. But still a lot of work to be done out there. But I'm sure we got some folks that'll be going by there taking pictures and seeing this process as it goes. And lastly, I think the last day to register to vote is tomorrow, isn't it? Today? Oh, Lord.
Time's up.
Well, I hope you registered, and more importantly, please vote. Please vote.
Yeah, 'cause we got some good things coming up on the ballot this year.
Yeah, I mean, locally, we've got, there's a lot of work that we invested in, and we got done through the state legislature for homestead exemption. You've heard it said. I think somebody's doing town hall meetings, just trying to spread the word. But we worked hard on that, especially staff, on getting that legislation up to Atlanta. They got it done. Now it's up to the voters down here on whether or not you want to expand that homestead exemption. And I hope one day that our counterparts on the school board will take notice of that and do likewise. All right. I think that's about it. Any final little ways?
Yeah. I want to say, yes, I hope the school board takes a look at it, because the senior people, and I'm one of the senior people, need a little relief from school taxes. And that's all I'm saying.
All right. So if there are no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Adjourn. Thank y'all. We're still live, so. Good meeting.
All right.
Trying my best. Y'all have a good one.
You too. You can,
And you? Yes, sir.
Chris, you can take that with you, make copies, distribute it, bring back a stack of them, and, you know, if nothing else, you know, bring them up here, give them to staff, they'll get them to Doug and them. We'll take whatever you can get. We're still live.
Their rules